If you've been studying personal development, manifestation, the law of attraction, and all these topics for some time and you still haven't created the personal transformation that you wish to create, or you still haven't achieved the goals that you aspire, then I'm going to share some important information in this video that you might not be aware of. And in the last few years, these topics became very popular, and most people I talk to, they tell me they've been studying personal development, law of attraction, manifestation, and all these things for sometimes even more than 10 years, but they still feel like there's something wrong with them, like they're still stuck, like there are some blockages and they can't really overcome them so they can achieve the things they want and really manifest the things they want in their life. But even more than that, they just haven't become or developed the skills, the abilities, the personality that they want to develop. In other words, they haven't become the person that they want to be. So they still have a feeling inside that there's something that they need to fix, that something is wrong with them. Now, if this sounds familiar, then I want to talk about memory, because memory is something that you almost never hear about. You hear about things like uh, energy blockages, emotional releases, releasing stuff, and a lot of different things. You hear about NLP, hypnosis, and all these different things, which are very helpful, but they don't ultimately get you to the goal that you want to get. So there are a lot of different topics that are really not very well known and that nobody really talks about. They are kind of like secret ingredients that are missing in these popular recipes on manifestation and law of attraction and personal development and personal transformation. And there is one ingredient that I want to talk about in this video. And like I said, that ingredient is memory. Now, if you want to know more about this, you can go to mindtransformationclass.com. It's right above my head. If you want to watch a class that goes deep, a lot deeper into this subject. But in this video, I'm going to talk about memory. So what is memory? Memory is basically the recordings of every experience in our life. So, popular science says that since the day we are born, we start recording memory. Now, that is true, but it goes a bit further than that. We actually start recording memory since before we were born. When we are, when our moms were pregnant, we were inside their belly and we were still recording information. We didn't have a lot of senses that were active, but we had other things like some sensations and sounds that we hear from the outside environment, and we still record that. So our memory goes way back since before we were born. And we can imagine memory as being a bunch of VHS for the people who are old enough to know what a VHS is. But we can imagine them as DVDs or simply recordings, just like when we watch a movie or a video that we can record on our phone. We see that we can record moving images and we record sound. So the mind works very similar, except it actually captures a lot more information than just video and sound. It actually captures the images, the sounds, yes, but it also captures other sensations like temperature, the sense of touch, the smells, the taste, emotions, and everything we can capture with our five senses. And even beyond that, we have a lot more senses than just the five senses. So we really capture all that information. In addition to that, we also record the thoughts we are having in that moment, all the emotions, the thoughts, the internal experience we're having, as well as the external experience. And we record every second of our experience nonstop. Even when we're sleeping, our unconscious mind is still recording. If we have a surgery or an operation and we are drugged and go unconscious, we still are recording. If we have an accident and we go unconscious, if we hit our head and we get knocked out, if we pass out, the unconscious mind is still recording information. So we have a recording that goes uh, since before our birth to today, and we have recorded every single second, and not only audio and video, but also emotion, sensation, thoughts. So we have a lot of information, and within this information, there is a very important period of our life, which goes from, we can say for ease, from the day we are born to when we are about 8 years old. And this is called the period of individuation. This is when we basically form our identity. This is when we actually decide who we are in the world, how we interact with the world, how the world or the universe works, and we form our beliefs of other people. Basically, we form our map of who we are and what reality and what the world is. So, we form these beliefs about reality based on our experiences. In other words, based on the movies that our mind records and stores. And it is based on the experience, the emotions on those experiences, and the thoughts and how we interpret those experiences. That's how we form beliefs. So, let's say I'm 4 years old, I am playing around the house, and my mom says, "Stop running because you're going to drop something and you're going to spill the juice on the carpet." I don't listen. I spill the juice on the carpet, and then my mom says, "I told you so. You're so dumb. You always do this." And at that moment, I record the experience, and I have the external experience, and I also have an internal experience. And the internal experience is basically the thoughts I'm having, and it links to the emotions I am experiencing at that moment. So I may experience fear because I think my mom's gonna spank me. I may experience sadness, guilt, and a variety of emotions. And with those emotions and those experiences, my thoughts may be, "I'm a bad kid. I don't listen. I always make mistakes. Everything I do is wrong." You see, and being a 4-year-old, my ability to reason is not that developed. So my thoughts are going to naturally be very basic, and they're going to be negative, and forming decisions about who I am and how I affect the world, and how others react to me, and what my worth is. So in this experience, I have all these different emotions, these different thoughts, which actually turn into a belief in a second. And a lot of people say that to form a belief, you need to have a thought and repeat it a bunch of times for it to become a belief. But that's actually not necessary. You can actually form a belief in a nanosecond that if that thought is linked to a very intense emotion. It turns into a belief in that very second, in that very moment. So now I have a belief that I formed when I was 4 years old. And of course, this is an example, and this is an example that not only I actually went through, not this exact one, but we all have similar examples in our lives of similar experiences we've had throughout our life, especially in our childhood. We've had tens, maybe dozens, or even hundreds or thousands of similar experiences. So we are actually forming our identity since before we are even 8 years old. So we form the identity of who we are, and then 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years later, we're 40 years old, 30 years old, 50 years old, and we are walking around with the same identities that we formed when we were only 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, because we never actually changed them. And 99% of the time, we're not even aware that we have those identities because we are not self aware. We haven't done the work. And let me show you how that works, because uh, an identity can form when you are a kid and you have a single experience, but it actually gets reinforced as we have more and more and more similar experiences. Maybe the experience itself or the event itself is not exactly the same, but it's similar in the case that we have similar emotions and we have similar thoughts. And let me actually draw you something. Let me make myself smaller. Oh, not the background, but myself smaller. And let me get a whiteboard here, and let me get myself this way so I'm not on the way. And let me get this down here. So we have a memory. So using the same example, let's say I am 4 years old. Okay, and my handwriting is not that good. And this is the core event. So I am 4 years old. I have this accident. I feel sad. That's an S. I feel sad. I feel guilty. I think so. Those are emotions. Maybe I feel fear. So you have all these emotions at the same time having this event. And my thoughts are I am dumb, I am bad, and I make mistakes. So I'm having these emotions, these thoughts, and at the same time, so they get linked. So in the brain, let's say I'm gonna draw a brain. I'm not an artist, so that's something like a brain. It's divided in two, and we have a bunch of neurons in the brain. And when we form a memory, the memory is actually not stored inside of the brain. The memory is stored in a field that actually surrounds. Well, let me draw it in red. Uh, the field actually surrounds the brain, but that's something that's a whole different topic. So let's just pretend that when we form a memory, it creates a neurologic response in the brain. And then let's say a few months later, I have another event that might be a bit different, but it also made me feel sad. Let's say made me feel sad and made me feel guilty. So, it's only two of those emotions, and it made me think that I'm dumb. So this links to that because it's got one of those beliefs or thoughts, and it's got two of those emotions. And then let's say I have a totally different experience that makes me feel fear. So it links to that because of the fear. And then, throughout our life, we have a ton of different events, experiences that makes us feel any of those emotions or any of those thoughts or beliefs. So they all get interconnected. See, each one of those memories connects to every other memory. So then what happens, and this is what I meant when I'm talking about those memories actually affecting us as adults. We may think it's so dumb to think that me having an insignificant experience as a 4-year old is affecting my career today as a 40-year old. And that's holding back my success, my financial success, or any success you want to have in your life. But the way it works is today you have an experience, let's say in the present moment, let's say this is your active experience, let's say your active experience or your present experience. And then what happens is this experience triggers one of these beliefs. So it'll trigger, say, an event that goes here, and it gets linked automatically to all the other experiences because they are all linked together because they have the same emotions or the same beliefs. So the current experience may make you feel fear, guilt, or sadness because it triggers and has some similarity to any other of those events, or in some way it may trigger you feeling dumb, or feeling or thinking any of those other thoughts for any reason. Great example is if you're trying to speak in public, you feel fear, and it triggers all of those emotions. So all those events are affecting your present experience. Doesn't mean it's one single event that's affecting you the most or that's affecting you in total. It means all of those form a network of neurons that are interconnected, and it connects all of those events, and it triggers the total of intensity of emotion and of the belief in the present moment. So that is basically the anatomy of what holds people back, of those blockages. And we don't hear a lot about this. In the popular videos that talk about manifestation, law of attraction, what they say is visualize what you want, and then what you want will manifest or will appear. Well, that would be the case if all these memories were not in the active experience. Because when you think about what you want, most people, when they visualize and they think of what they want, not in a dream world, but in the actual physical world, when they think about, seriously bringing what they want into their life or having the experience or becoming the person they want, they actually feel resistance. They feel some form of discomfort, negative emotion or negative sensation, or disbelief, thinking that it won't happen, or actually believing they can't do it. That's because this automatically gets triggered, and it triggers all these emotions and these beliefs that says I can't do it because I'm dumb, because I'm bad, because I make mistakes, because I'm not good enough. And it triggers all of those beliefs, thoughts, and emotions. So what's the solution? The solution is to get rid not of the memory. You really don't need to get rid of the memory. But let me clear this up, and I will show you that there are 3 things that we need to clear from the memories. And these are things that all memories contain. So one, and the most important, and let me make the text a bit bigger so you can see this. So let's see. That's too small. Let's make it a 22. Okay, that's bigger. So number one is emotion, and that's the most important. When you erase the emotion from the memory itself changes. You experience the memory differently. If you have a memory and you go into the memory and you experience fear, sadness, anger, embarrassment, you have certain thoughts that are linked to those emotions, which create a certain perception. And that perception of the past, of the memory, affects you today. So if we erase the emotion, the thoughts and beliefs that are linked to the emotion and to the event automatically disappear as well. So you then experience it differently. Your thoughts are different, your perception is different, and you act and respond differently in the present moment. So we erase emotion, we erase thoughts or beliefs, which they're basically the same thing, just the only difference is the intensity of each one of those. A big thought is a belief. A thought that gets reinforced by emotion or repetition turns into a belief. The next thing is action, or we can call it physical sensation or effort. And physical sensation, that can be pain or physical effort. Like if you make an effort to do something, that's the effort. It's basically more action based and physical based, effort based, pain, more sensation based. So those are the three things we work on to not erase the memory. The memory is there, but we erase the emotions, the negative thoughts and beliefs attached to them, and the physical sensation or effort. And once we erase those three things, that's when everything changes. You don't forget the memory simply changes. And remember, we said you form your identity based on your memories. It's actually based on the emotions, thoughts, beliefs, and sensations that are stored in those memories. So once those three things change in your memories, your identity changes. The person you are changes. And that's the definition of a personal transformation. So, I hope this helps. I hope this gives you more clarity. If you want to know more about this, go to mindtransformationclass.com. Let me put it up here so you can see it better. But that is actually yellow, so it's going to be hard to see. So let me write it down here. If you want to really know more about this, mind transformation, and it's actually not mindtransformation.com, it's mindtransformationclass.com. So go there. I have a class that goes much deeper into not only this, but a lot of other things that really help you create a real personal transformation to help you become the person you really want to be, so you can be, do, or have the things you really want in your life. That's all for today. I hope this helps, and I hope to see you soon.